One thing that disappoints me when it comes to celebrities are the individuals who like to complain about how America sucks and how America is not great and how America is the worst country to live in. And yet, for some reason, they have a job here that makes them millions of dollars. They have a job here that gave them a living and a name recognition, such as Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Colin Kaepernick. I mean, if it wasn't for American jobs, they wouldn't be millionaires to this day. They wouldn't be named. They wouldn't be recognized through the media. Chris Evans, if he had not, if it wasn't to him, if it wasn't due to America, if it wasn't for America, guess what, Chris Evans, you would have probably been a nobody who couldn't have done anything, and not to mention you wouldn't have gotten a big spot in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Captain America. How ironic that a guy who plays a patriotic soldier from World War II likes to bash America in the real world. Same thing with Robert Downey Jr. He had a, he had a like a fantastic stardom. He had a fantastic start, being in movies, a child actor. Then he had a falling out. Too many drugs. Many people weren't hiring him, but only in America. Only in America can someone say, you know what, I'm going to give you a second chance and you're going to be the Iron Man of the MCU. 10 years later, he's the one who's fighting Thanos along with the Avengers. So it really pisses me off when I see celebrities who make their living being in America, who made their living, who actually became who they are thanks to the United States, and like to bash it. They like to insult it because, America is not so great. Is this not a racist statement? But when someone tells you, if you don't like the country, then get out. It's common sense. If you don't like the house you're living in right now, why don't you move? It's common sense. If you don't like where you're currently living, then you move. Same thing here. The article's from the Washington Examiner. Title reads, GOP lawmaker suggests Colin Kaepernick move to a different country. But before we go into the article, go ahead and go to carlosredvick.com if you'd like to support my work. YouTube has made it harder to basically make a living on YouTube. And I do not want to monetize them because that just gives them more leverage to the platform me if they ever consider my videos to be controversial. At the same time, some videos are controversial and YouTube is going to demonetize them anyways, so I don't see the point on relying on YouTube for getting my income. Okay, like the article from the Washington Examiner. Representative Mo Brooks, an Alabama Republican, suggested former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick should consider moving to another country if he is unhappy with the United States. When asked to weigh in the controversy over the Nike sneakers with the Revolutionary War era flag, Brooks told SiriusXM, Patriots Breitbart News Tonight, that Kaepernick ought to consider moving to a country where he believes the laws are better for his purposes. Kaepernick was well known for his political activism in headlines last week when he complained to Nike, who sponsors him, about their Air Max 1 Quick Strike 4th of July trainer because it featured an image of the Betsy Ross version of the American flag. He told the company it shouldn't sell a shoe with a symbol that he and others consider offensive because the flag marked an era when slavery existed in the United States, according to the Wall Street Journal. After the company shipped the shoes to retailers, Nike asked for them to be returned. In a statement, Nike spokeswoman Sandra Carry-On John, I think that's how you pronounce the last name, said, Nike made the decision to halt distribution of the Air Max 1 Quick Strike 4th of July based on concerns that could unintentionally offend and detract from the nation's patriotic holiday. Kind of ironic how you want to take away a patriotic shoe because you don't want to find someone who's celebrating being someone who's patriotic, on the 4th of July. You don't want to offend them. So let's take away a patriotic shoe on the nation's most patriotic holiday. Yeah, that makes sense. The Betsy Ross American flag is the nickname for the design of 13 stars that represents the 13 colonies arranged in a circle. It has been used periodically by some white supremacist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, but it does not appear in the Anti-Defamation League's database of hate symbols and is widely seen as a patriotic flag that even appeared at the former President Barack Obama's second inauguration. I covered this in my last video. Again, it wasn't racist when Obama used it, but now it's racist because coincidentally we have a president that is very controversial, but that's just my opinion. Brooks said there are some very radical people in the United States of America who don't like America. They don't like the foundational principles that made us a great nation, and I would put Mr. Kaepernick in that category. In my mind, perhaps he ought to consider moving to a country where he believes that the laws are better for his purposes. He continued, I doubt he will do that because in this country, we've had over 1 million Americans die fighting for our liberties. All of these things that we enjoy, he seems to frown upon, and so you just assume he'd leave. That's the end of the article. But here's my 2 cents in this type of ordeal. Okay, just because white supremacists like to use the Betsy Ross flag doesn't make it a white supremacist symbol. I'll give you a good example. Let's say if let's say the KKK were to have a rally, and they're wearing Under Armour products, Under Armour shirts, Under Armour sports gear. Does that make Under Armour racist because for some reason the KKK like to use Under Armour? Of course not. Same thing with Nike. What if, for example, one day the neo Nazis, I'm talking about the real ones, not conservative, but the real Nazis, the real neo Nazis, if they say, you know what, we're gonna go fight against Antifa, because again, they're both, Antifa is a far leftist group, an extreme, and a left group, extremist group. Neo Nazis are a far right extremist group. What if Nike? What if the neo Nazis say, you know what, we're gonna go find Antifa and we're gonna beat the shit out of them and we're gonna wear Nike products? Does that make Nike racist now because because the neo-Nazis decided to wear Nike products? No. Same thing here. Just because a white supremacist group, just because a far left group uses something as their symbol, doesn't make it doesn't affiliate it with any other way. Like I said, the article even said President Barack Obama used this flag during his second inauguration. Not to mention the first one too. So why wasn't a problem then? Does that make Barack Obama a white supremacist because he used the Betsy Ross flag? I don't know. But here's the thing. It's common sense. Like I said, people say, well, if you shouldn't tell people to leave the country if they don't like it. Well, that's common sense. If you do not like the country, if you do not feel like this country is giving you a lot, then you can leave. We're not forcing you to stay. Same thing when you own a house. If you live in a house and say that you hate it because the floors are falling apart, your neighbor is always complaining, is always with his loud music, the roof's leaking, it's a very poorly made house. And if I asked you why don't you move, what's going to be your reaction? Well, actually, no. It's going to be the one of these two. You're going to do the logical one. Says, you know what, you're all right. I'm going to look to see if I can buy another house, a better one at least. Or it can be number two. Well, who are you to tell me that I should leave? You're not the boss of me. You're being rude to tell me that I should move. Logic is going to be the first one. Same thing with this country. If you don't like the country, whether it's right now, the United States isn't perfect. It has flaws. Trust me, it has many flaws. But a lot of celebrities, they made their living in America. They made their living. They made themselves by working in America. Like I said, I do not like this. I do not like stand. I cannot stand celebrities who made their money bashing a country where they earned that money. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. They're there to act. They're there to do your job. Like I said, Chris Evans. The guy doesn't want to play a movie because apparently they're considering making a biopic for Tom Brady. Chris Evans doesn't want to consider. He doesn't want to play as Tom Brady if he were given if he was offered the role, because Tom Brady he's shown some remarks of supporting the president in the last couple and recently. So because Chris Evans doesn't like the president, he doesn't want to he doesn't want to play Tom Brady, even though he could be the most qualified one. So it's like, really, dude? How ironic. How Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Colin Kaepernick. How it's funny how they made their money. They became millionaires. So right now, Kaepernick is a millionaire. Robert Downey Jr. is a millionaire. He gets paid like literally a bunch of money for his MCU movies now. Chris Evans the same. He's a millionaire. They're millionaires. All people in Hollywood, the major A-list actors like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Colin Kaepernick, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner. What is it? Chadwick Boseman or Boseman. I don't know how to pronounce it. They're millionaires. They're making big by working in America. Okay, they're working in America, and yet they're hating America because apparently they don't like the country. Okay, then get out. If you do not like the country, we're not forcing you to stay. Get out. Oh wait, that's right, because no other country has the amount of power of Hollywood compared to other countries. Good example. A comedian by the name of George Lopez. I'm pretty sure you heard of him. I follow him on Facebook because he was funny. I usually just follow him now because I want to see how low he's going to go. How low he's going to go to the point in order to stay relevant. Now, during the 2016 election, George Lopez, who has a lot of money, the dude has a lot of money. He's freaking loaded. He has nice car. He literally poses with in front of his car, sometimes in front of his house. The dude's loaded. In 2016, he said if Trump won, he's going to move out of the U.S. 2019, as of July 7th, 2019, he's still here. Why is that? Maybe because he knows that in the U.S. he has it good. Maybe he knows in the U.S. has given him so much, and he's just a talking point. Another reason why. If George Lopez were to move to Mexico, his comedy compared to actual comedians in Mexico, His style sucks, honestly. There's good comedians in Mexico, hysterical ones. One of them that I like to watch is El Compayazo. The dude's hysterical. The dude has made me laugh more in I think in the 2 months that I've seen his content compared to George Lopez in the last few years. El Compayazo is hysterical, and he's a Hispanic. He's a Hispanic comedian. The dude's hysterical. Because George Lopez knows that outside of the U.S., the dude's act is stale. It sucks. But in Mexico, the dude is not going to make it. That's why he likes to stay in the U.S. Let's say, well, if Trump wins, I'm going to move out. He's still here. So that's the thing. It's not a racist thing to say to someone, well, if you don't like living in the U.S., then why don't you move? Why don't you leave? We're not forcing you to stay. It's not a racist thing to say. It's a common sense thing. Again, same thing when you have a house. Well, I don't like this house because this house sucks. And if I tell you, well, why don't you move out? Why don't you find another house? And you get offended at my suggestion, then something's wrong with you. Maybe you don't want to admit you made a mistake. Maybe you don't want to admit that you kind of like the house because it's your first house, and you don't want to, and you didn't want to admit that you kind of liked it. It's just kind of like just having a bad day or something. But that's the thing. It's not a racist thing to say that if you don't like the country, then get out. It's not a racist thing to say. It's common sense. If you don't like your car, what happens? You get a new one, right? If you don't like your laptop, you get a new one. Kind of like me. I had a laptop. I didn't like it, so I got a new one. Instead of complaining about it, I saved up and I bought a new laptop. Okay? So it's kind of like that. If I didn't like my microphone, because again, for recording, I use a different microphone. I didn't like the microphone that I was using previously, so I got a new one. Common sense. If you don't like this country, then go find and live in a new one. That's going to conclude the video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think, well, Carlos, you're just being a racist because you're telling Colin Kaepernick to leave the country? Or do you think, no, he makes some good sense. If you don't like what you have, then you can change it. You can get a new one, or you can move out. If you don't like where you live, you can move out. Share this video. It really does help a lot. If you like the video, hit the like button. That also helps out with YouTube's algorithm. Although it might not do much because YouTube doesn't like promoting controversial subjects, especially with their woke material, especially with Colin Kaepernick. But at the same time, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, hit the notifications bell as well. That way you never miss an upload. And until next time, you guys, I'll be covering more articles as well. Trust me, this is one of the hopefully 3 that I'll be covering today if I have the time. But this is gonna be the end for this one. All right. Until next time, you guys, have a good rest of the day.